Hello everyone. So today I thought that I would read a book that I got recently from the library. If you don't know, my name is Christy Lynn. I am the author and illustrator of the Adventures of Jemmy children's series. So I do like writing and reading books, and this book that I'm going to read today is one that was very popular a few years ago and still is popular now. I just haven't read it yet, so I thought now would be a good time to read it. And that book is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I know that a lot of people really like this book, and people keep asking me if I have read it, so I thought that it was about time that I read it. I do really like Fourth Wing, so I hope it's like the same type of fantasy vibes, but I actually don't even know what this book is about. But I think I'm just going to go into it blind and see if I end up liking it without knowing what's going to happen. So I'll update you guys on my progress and my opinions of the book as I go along. Usually books like this, if they're really good, take me 3 to 4 days. So we'll see how long this one takes me. Oh, there's a cute little map inside the beginning. So I actually haven't made it very far in the book, but my phone is about to die and I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go eat some dinner while my phone charges, and I'll catch back up with you later. Alright, I am back from eating dinner and doing a few other things, so let's get back to reading. So it's a few hours later of me starting A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I'm liking it so far. So the story follows a girl named Feyre. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. And she and her family are poor. She lives with 2 sisters and her dad. And she's out hunting and ends up killing a wolf who's trying to get the deer that she wanted. And then another wolf comes, and he's a fairy, and apparently the wolf she killed was also a fairy, and she gets to choose whether she gets killed or whether she comes with this second wolf to live in his land. And this land where she has to stay is said to be the home of the Fae, who are like very mean to humans. So it's not a place that she wants to live. And I'm not spoiling anything because it's all on the front book flap as well. So I've just gotten to the part where she's just gotten to her new home where she's going to live and getting cleaned up. And that's where I've stopped. I've got to about page 60. And so I will pick it up tomorrow. Alright, it's a few days later, and I'm going to do some more reading of A Court of Thorns and Roses. I was sick the past few days, and I didn't really feel like doing anything, but now I'm excited to get back into reading. I did not update last night because when I finished reading, it was 3:30 in the morning, so it was a little bit too late to do an update. I think I made it to about a page 150. I am enjoying the book so far. So at this point, our main character, Feyre, is getting used to her new home that she has to stay in. Of course, she's still trying to find a way to go home, back to her family. Her main reason being that she made a promise to her mother before she died that she would take care of the family, so she's just worried about them. But as she's trying to find a way home, she's learning a little bit more about this land where she is. I think it's pronounced Pyrethian. So as she's getting to know these two fae that she's with, they're named Tamlin and Lucian. She's learning a little bit more about the land that she's living in and some of the scary creatures that she's heard stories about, and things that lure you into the forest. So she's learning about that, learning about her new home, trying to get used to being there. Overall, from a writer's perspective, there's not a whole bunch of big events going on quite yet, except her being there and her trying to leave. There aren't any really big major events happening yet, but even though that is the case, I'm still very interested in the book. It's still keeping me hooked and it's still making me want to keep reading more. So we shall see what happens with the rest of the book. So I was reading late last night again and couldn't update. I've read another 80 or so pages of the book. There's a little bit more happening now. The main character, Feyre, now has a hobby to participate in, instead of just being kind of bored all the time. And there's also a love interest in the story now, so that's exciting. So there's a lot more happening. She's learning more about the world and going out and seeing what her new home looks like. She's just learning about what the magic looks like and feels like and sounds like. So it's very nice descriptions for how the magic feels and how she perceives the magic in the world around her that she didn't know back in the human world. So there's some more exciting events happening, so I'm excited to read more. Alright, it's been a little while since I've last done an update, but I have finished Court of Thorns and Roses. I got my water today, and I'm all ready because I have some words to say about this book. I know that sounded a little dramatic, but I actually did like the book. So I read like the last 200 pages of the book in 2 days because I just sat down and I didn't want to stop reading. So overall, I really liked the book. There was just like a few minor things that I didn't care for, but it didn't really affect the plot too much. So I did really enjoy the book. And when I got to the end of the book, I found that there was actually a pronunciation guide in the back for the names, and I figured out that the name of the place is Pyrethian instead of whatever I said before. I'm not gonna spoil anything in this review. I'm just gonna give like kind of like general descriptions of the things that I noticed in this book. The first thing that I noticed is some of the reactions from the characters and some of the changes that some characters had just kind of didn't make sense to me. Like they did like a whole 180 of their personality, and I'm like, that doesn't really make sense in the situation. It kind of wasn't explained very well, or I don't know, it just, I didn't care for that. And also some of the reactions that some of the characters had to certain events just didn't seem to fit. Like they either overreacted or underreacted to certain things. Like they underreacted to something that might have been a huge deal in their life and didn't have too much reaction to it. So that kind of didn't really make sense, but it didn't really affect too much of the book. Another thing was that the first half of the book and the second half of the book were like complete total opposites. They were very different. I know that there had to be like some conflict and stuff that had to happen because the beginning of the books did start out kind of slow. There wasn't a whole lot happening, but it still kept me engaged and kept me wanting to read more and find out more, and it was very nice. And then the second half was kind of where like the action happened and a lot of the big events. So they felt like two very different books, and I kind of missed the beginning of the book, but I know that it has to continue on. There has to be some type of change. Otherwise, the book will feel like you're just kind of stuck in this same part of the story. There was also a little section in there when it transitioned to one scene to another where there was a big info dump. So that one character just kind of said the entire story of why something was happening, and I felt like it could have been spread out a little bit more to kind of give more clues along the way for the reader to try to figure it out themselves. It did do that a little bit toward the beginning, but the author kind of gave it too much of it all at once, and it was just this big long story for a few pages, and some of it probably needed to be explained like that, but there is also seemed like the story had a lot of detail that it didn't need as well in that info dump that could have been shortened so it wasn't quite as long, or could have been spread out in some way so that we found it in smaller increments along the way. And so as I said, like the beginning and end were kind of different. The beginning was more kind of building up the relationships of the characters, and then the second half was where like all the events happened. So that did make the story kind of fun. It was a little bit different, even though I did miss kind of the beginning. The ending was still kind of like the second half was still kind of fun to read about. I did like how the author included different hobbies for the characters to participate in, to give them something to do, because in the beginning there wasn't too much happening, and then they kind of got some new activities to work on for their day-to-day lives, so they weren't just kind of sitting in a house doing nothing. I also liked the character growth for some of these characters, especially the main character, Feyre. I really liked her growth throughout the book. And I did like how some of the other characters grew and changed throughout the book as well, even if we didn't see them as much throughout the book. If they came in toward the middle, there was still some changes that they went through as well that you could see that helped with the plot. So my first reaction when I finished this book was to give it 5 stars, and because I really enjoyed the book. And then I started reading other people's reviews, and I was like, yeah, I did kind of find a problem with that and didn't care for that. So then I changed my score to 4 stars, maybe 4.5, because I also agreed with them that these certain little things didn't really make sense in the book, but it didn't affect it too much. And then today I was just sitting there like, I really wish I had more of this book to read, and that I hadn't finished it because I wanted to read more. I wanted to see what was going to happen next. Then I thought, even though I agree that like there were a few little things that could have been done better in this book, just me wanting to read it again makes me think that I should change it to 5 stars. I'm not going to let their opinions affect my score, because the fact that I was sitting there today wishing that I had more of this book to read means that it's probably 5 stars. So I went and I changed my rating. I was still kind of on the fence it's somewhere between 4.5 and 5, but on Goodreads you can't give half stars. So I would just say that it's a 5-star book for me, because I really enjoyed it and I want to read more and find out what's going to happen next with these characters. So hopefully I didn't spoil anything. I don't think I did. I tried to keep it very general and not reveal any major plot points or anything like that. And I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on A Court of Thorns and Roses. I did really enjoy the book, and I look forward to reading the next one. Thank you for watching my reading vlog, and have a great day. Future Christy here with an update. I am now 3/4 of the way through A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book in the series. And this book is so good. If you weren't sure about A Court of Thorns and Roses, you need to at least give this one a try because it is so much better than the first one. I think the first one now is like 4 stars for me, and this one is 5 stars. So at least give it a try because it is so good. All right, that's all I have to say.